Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Aspie Bridge. Unfortunately, I don't have my background right now, but that's okay. Welcome to my room. This is my center for command, and this is where I have a number of my different passions. And why are we talking about passions today? Well, first, let me talk about my tagline and tell you, with all the wonderful people that are out there in the internet, and they are telling us all about what autism is. You don't need another Aspie individual telling you what autism is. Paul Micallef in Australia, and Sam out in Europe, and Sarah Hendricks in UK are all wonderful people, to name a few, who tell you about what autism is. And even Taylor Heaton here in the US will tell you what autism is. I'm here today, as I have been, to tell you that you, as an Aspie individual, can certainly go back into society. You don't need to hide out in victimhood. You don't need to hide out on Social Security income for the rest of your life. Yes, I will tell you, you will need it till you get set up. But once you get set up, eventually you won't have to go after if you choose your life carefully. Now, as I say, don't go burning the ships. Don't go getting rid of your help until you get set up. What is today's topic? Today is all about choosing a career for you, not just a job. And I'd like to start off by telling you a quick story. Back in 1996, when I was looking at colleges and I found the college, Plymouth State, up in New Hampshire, that I wanted to go to, they had this awesome program that they were planning, this major. And the major was called Ed 90s, where we were going to learn how to use computers in the different industries and use different practical applications. Now, I was finding when I was a senior in high school that I loved computers. I absolutely loved it. I was having so much fun with the C program. Yes, I'm dating myself. The C program, where you would build that little rocket ship with the 10, 20, 30, 40. Now, some of you may be a little bit old, not old enough to understand what that coding is, but they're bringing coding back. So you might. Excuse me. But the point is that I was beginning to love computers. And the idea of using a computer in different industries sounded fascinating. Plymouth State was offering this program called Ed 90s, where we would be in a special sector where we would go to the different industries: business, psychology, education, perhaps physical education, and the sciences, and learn how the computer adapted to all these different fields. That sounded great. I was looking forward to that. And then there were not enough people to sign up for the program, and it got canceled. Oh, what was I going to do? Well, here's an important point. Don't let your family tell you what you should take for a career in place of it. That's up to you to decide. And for you who are in high school and going into college and in college, you really need to see what's in your heart. Not what Auntie Joan is saying, not what Uncle Steve is saying, not what Cousin Sam is saying. What's in your heart? What do you love to do? And so I went into education. And while I was finding that I loved the creative aspect of setting up a classroom because of the organization and the creativity, when it came time for actually managing the children, 25 of them, that wasn't quite my strong suit. But yet, that's what people thought I should do with my life, is become a teacher. Well, that's good if you have five or six children in a classroom doing something that might be fun. But if you have a bunch of work that you're trying to get them to do and they're not interested, their passion's not there either. So you need to know where your passion lies. What is a passion? A passion is your special interest. It's what you really enjoy doing on your days off. what can you think of that you like to spend all day doing? And now don't tell me you don't, because we as Aspies love to hyper focus on those things that are interesting. Are you into gardening? Perhaps you'd like to work in a gardening center. Are you into computers? Are you into music? Are you into books? These are all the different things that we need to really think about when we are looking at different jobs. Now, before I go there, I want to talk a little bit about fears. Excuse me, I've had a cough. So, your fears. What happens is that if you try and go into a career or even a job that you're not crazy about, and there's a task that comes up, I don't think you're going to do it if you have a fear of doing that task. And while it's good to know what your fears are, some fears you need to know as an Aspie woman or man that are going to bring in burnout or meltdown a lot faster. We really need to know what our limitations are, but we also need to hyper focus on what our passions are, because that's going to make the difference of getting a career or getting a job. Now, what would you love? I was talking about that earlier. Do you love to garden? Do you love books? Do you love science? What do you love? I encourage you to take this time and write down the top 5 things that if you could spend your day doing, what 5 things would those do? Maybe there is only one where you could spend it all day. Like, for instance, the last couple of days, I've been working on a cross stitch project. Crafting is my number one passion. And yes, I could spend all day. What does that mean? It means I could work at a craft store. I can run my own business like I do for Personally Yours, where I make custom order gifts. I can work in as a vendor in a craft department. There are all different things that can be based around what my love of crafts is. Maybe I would like to get a booth somewhere and sell my wares there. Maybe I'd like to go on Etsy. Understanding what your special interest is the first step to knowing that you are not going to burn out as quickly. And let's go to the reverse side of that. What if you said, well, I just need a job and you're a vegetarian, but you go to McDonald's? Does that make a lot of sense? We really need to think about what our passions are before we start thinking about where we want to work. Something that goes against your core values is not going to be the best fit for you. You really need to consider that. Now, if you're vegan and there's a place that creates salads, that's a completely different story. Now, I want you to know this is the important thing that came up to me back in 2019. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're happy doing it. And yet, there are going to be parts of your job you may not be as happy doing, but as long as the key points of the job are in your core values and in your heart, you're going to find that you can last a lot longer doing them. So, let me first start by saying if you're not sure what your passion is, let's say you do a little bit of everything, but nothing's sparked your attention yet. I'm an enrichment coach. My life coaching business is called Enriching Lifestyles, where I help people to discover the passion in their heart. And I can help you through writing, through a reading program, through a journaling program, through all different ways to find out what your passions are so that we know which way to send you in direction of a career, not a job. Let's say that you enjoy cleaning. Is there anything wrong with being a janitorial person for a hotel or a school or some of these other places? No, absolutely not. If that's what you love doing. So often we're pigeonholed. Oh, you're autistic. Maybe you should just go mop the floors for a couple of hours. Well, now that's not taking your passion into consideration unless you enjoy mopping the floors. So it's really important that you know what's in your heart. That's first. Looking at the different jobs that are there. Let's say you love animals, but you don't want to go to a kennel because you don't want to see abandoned animals. Maybe you could be a vet assistant. We need to look at the little topic and then grow bigger and bigger in response to all the different activities that you could do that utilize that particular love. Now, we may have to tweak it to find out which ones you don't like. Just like I was talking about the kennel idea and animals. Maybe you'd rather work at a zoo. Maybe you'd rather work at a place that still distributes animals, like a canine distributor, where all animals that are rescued go to different homes and you take care of them. Understanding your passion first, and then now we need to tweak it down to what kind of job would you enjoy. Now, 5 years ago, I started Starbucks. I love coffee. I love talking to people. I love greeting them in the morning and wishing them a wonderful day and all those things. But now, even I'm finding after 5 years of working in the coffee business, there are parts of that job I love. There are parts of the job I don't love. And understanding where we fit within an organization is just as important as choosing the particular industry, because you may find that there is a special job in an industry where you might not like the other parts of the other jobs that are affiliated with it, but this one job is your specialty. For me, I love the drive through window. I love welcoming people every morning who come and get their coffee. I love to send them off and have a great day. But do I love to work at the register? It's okay. Do I want to make coffee in a rushed order? No. So you see, this is an example of knowing where within a company you best fit. Because as I said, here's a coffee store. Do I want to make the coffee? No. Do I want to work at the register? Well, I don't mind it as long as it's not too noisy. But I love the drive through because it's fresh air. I can talk to people one at a time. And so these things work. What in your life are you doing? And how can you tweak that job to be something you love even more? Perhaps you're at a library and they're asking you to put away the books, and that's fun, but it's not your love. But maybe you'd love to have a book conversation with people. Maybe you'd love to read books to children. Maybe you'd like to do another part of the library job. There are so many different ways that we can help you to find the right career that's going to be good for you, that's going to make it so that you're not going to burn out or melt down within a 6 months of getting the job, because we all know how difficult it is for us to go through the interviews. That brings me to the next point. We're not the type of people that like to go to 25 interviews. And as much as people say it's just a numbers game, well, we need to reserve our energy. And what that means is that rather than going to 25 interviews, we really need to do the work beforehand of finding out what our passion is, finding out what we could spend endless number of hours doing without getting bored. If you're not an outside person, you don't want to be at a park. If you're not an inside person, you don't want to be in the library. You need to really understand who you are. You need to find out what's in your heart. What can you go out and do? Maybe you need to experiment. Or maybe you need to go home and just say, hey, the last 3 days, all I really wanted to do is this. Now, I caution you in one area. If you're into the video games all day long, that's not quite going to be a career that you can do unless you're into programming. Maybe that is. Maybe that is an arena you can do. Maybe you might like to learn how to do CAD, which is um, architecture on the computer. Here again, it's all about finding out what your interests are. What are you spending your time already doing that you love doing? And then when I have my friend Linda Tilson next week on, she'll actually be on a video. I'll let you know that in a moment. When I have her on, then we can go over and talk to you about how you would prepare for finding some of these different jobs, how you would take your interest and set it up and find the right industry that's going to use your special interests. And going back to the interviews, let's choose 5 major places in your area that will utilize your special interests. 5 strong interviews in the industry that you would love is a lot better than 25 and okay places to live or work rather. And as I say, if you're if you're vegan, you don't want to be at McDonald's. And if you hate coffee, you don't want to be at Starbucks. You need to really choose what kind of work you would love to do based on your special interests, your core values, and what you can spend more than an hour of your time doing. Now, let's talk about the next part. Meltdowns. Meltdowns occur when you go into a job and you have people around you that don't understand you. Now, there are 2 ways you can do that. You can please take them off the floor and say, I really need to have this happen. Don't start with you. Don't start with you. Say, I need, I would appreciate, it would be helpful to me. If you start off and talk to the person directly and make it I sentences, I would love to be in a quiet area. I would love to be where I can have some fresh air. I would love to be where I'm not stressed by the number of different activities I have to do simultaneously. By putting the I on there, you're not going to have some confrontation with a supervisor or someone who's training you. They'll be like, oh, I didn't know. Or, that might be tricky. If you can hang on 5 minutes, I'll see what I can do. You need to give them a chance. If they don't move you for the rest of the shift, you need to talk to your supervisor because that means that they really don't care about what your needs are. And that's when you need to go a little bit above their head and self advocate for yourself and say, I am overwhelmed by, and see if the supervisor will help. Now, if you're finding that there's nobody in the industry or in the area around you that is willing to take into consideration your needs, well, we need to find you another place to work because once you're in a job with people that don't understand you, that's the number one time when meltdown is going to occur. Let's say you're in a job and you've been working there, as I have for 4 years, and you're now finding that it's not serving you. It's no longer new, it's no longer intellectually challenging, or there's just not an activity under stimulation for the kind of time you want to be spending. Because I know for me, when I get bored, I want to go home and do my crafting. I don't want to stay in a job where I'm standing around doing nothing. And yes, we can clean, but cleaning is not one of my fortes. It's not in my passion. Yes, little cleaning and little supplying is good, but the point is, you really need to know yourself. You need to know who you are so you can find the best jobs and find those people that you can have a conversation with. Work is more than just doing the work. Work is also partly social. And if you're going into a place where you don't have anything in common with the other people, That's when burnout can start to occur because you're going to work and then you're going home. And, if there's not enough intellectual stimulation or there's not enough activity, you're going to find that it's going to be 6 months down the road and you're already burnt out from the job. You need to make sure that whatever jobs you're going into, you're going to be able to be there for a while. 6 months is my minimum for a job. I don't think that it's going to look very good to anyone if you go in for 3 weeks and say, I'm bored. You need to give it a chance. So I always say that the 6 months is your way of understanding who's around you. Do you have anything in common? Are you liking a particular job that you can do? Are you being understood for your needs? And finally, can you do it for more than a half an hour? Those are some of the things that you really need to know before you start interviewing for a job. If you have trouble with money, I don't think you want to go to a bank. But then again, there might be a job within the bank that you might like. So understand you, your special interests, your passions, and is there a job within that industry that will keep you busy and intellectually stimulated for 4 to 6 hours? Now, we're not saying that you need to work there all day long, but I think between 4 and 6 hours is adequate in order for you to receive an income so you can eventually get off of the SSI. Now, as I say, you want to be very careful that you don't want to cut off your income before you're sure you like the job. So you may have to go in and talk to the manager and say, I'd like to try out this job. It's very exciting to me. And I please need you to know that right now I need to start with 20 hours because that's what I know I can do my best at. Use those words. I want to be my best. If I'm working an 8 hour day, I can't be my best during hours 7 and 8. I want to be the best for you. And that means that a 4 to 6 hour job is the most I can handle right now. Now we can reevaluate that in a little while, but that's what I can handle. You really need to self advocate for yourself so that you're not over stimulated, you're not overwhelmed, but you're not underwhelmed either, and you're not working less than what you can afford to live. So these are some of the different things that you need to take into consideration. Choosing a career means something that you are passionate in. Choosing a job means just going in and getting the activities done so you can collect a paycheck. Which one of those two sounds more exciting to you? And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, sgp.enrichinglifestyles@gmail.com, and let me know. And I'd love to help you find an activity that brings you joy and excitement, and we can help you find a career. My girlfriend, Linda Tilson, is my career team builder for my Bridge Builder program. She is also going to help you find the best industry that uses your special interests. Next week, I'll be doing a video showing a video interview with her because she's not available at this time. But we'll be going through and discussing some of the different key points she has to prepare for the interview and to find the industry that's going to best meet your needs. And at that, I want to say thank you for coming to the Aspie Bridge. Welcome to my office, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.